Let me tell you something interesting about life. Life doesn't respond to need. It responds to seed. If you plant it and tend it and work on it, it grows. If you wait, complain, or delay, it withers. That's how it works. I want to take a few minutes and share with you the story of how I went from broke at 25 to financially independent, from wearing a borrowed suit and living in a small apartment to becoming a millionaire. But more importantly, I'll share with you the lessons that changed it all, because money wasn't the biggest reward. Becoming a different person, that was the real reward. You see, I discovered that success is not a mystery. It's not reserved for the lucky or the chosen few. It's a set of principles, a philosophy, a way of living. And when I began to live by those principles, everything changed. Now let me be clear, I didn't win the lottery. No one handed it to me. I didn't stumble into wealth. No, I grew into it. Because success is something you attract by the person you become. So today I want to walk you through 5 powerful lessons. Lessons that took me from excuses to excellence, from frustration to fortune, from average to extraordinary. These 5 lessons, if you take them seriously, can change everything for you too. Not overnight, but in time. So get a pen, grab a quiet space, and lean in, because this might just be the conversation that turns the light on and sets you on a new path. Let's begin. The day I changed was the day I said, I've had it. That was the beginning. You know, people often ask me, Jim, what was the turning point? When did it all start to change for you? And I tell them it wasn't when I got a new job. It wasn't when the economy got better. It wasn't when I finally got paid more. It was when I finally took responsibility. If you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree. That simple sentence changed my life. I'll never forget when my mentor told me that. I was 25 years old, broke, behind on my bills, full of ambition but empty on progress. I had pennies in my pocket. I was behind on my promises. I kept blaming circumstances, blaming taxes, inflation, the government, my company, my boss. But you see, nothing changed until I changed. I remember one evening, sitting alone in my small apartment. The walls felt tighter than usual. Not because the room was shrinking, but because my excuses were. It hit me. No one was coming to rescue me. Not the government. Not a relative. Not my boss. Not luck. If it was going to get better, I had to get better. If I was going to become wealthy, I had to become someone worthy of wealth. And that was the day I took charge of my life. You see, I had a habit of asking the wrong questions. Questions like, why don't they pay me more? Why won't the economy improve? Why do I have such bad luck? But the better question was, what can I do to improve myself? You've got to ask yourself the hard question. What am I doing about it? Because here's the truth, your life is not a community project. It's an individual enterprise. I began to realize something profound. The same wind blows on us all. The wind of opportunity, the wind of challenge. It's not the blowing of the wind that determines your future. It's the set of the sail. So I began to set a better sail. I stopped saying, I hope things change. And I started saying, I'm going to change. The major key to your better future is you. That's not just a quote. That's a foundation. You don't need to wait for someone to hand you a better future. You build it. You don't wait for inspiration. You become the inspiration. You don't wish for success. You work for it. And it starts with this bold decision to take full charge of your life. Let me ask you something. Have you made that decision? Not just casually, but completely. Because until you take full ownership, not partial, not halfway, not if only, but full and complete ownership, life will remain unpredictable, inconsistent, and disappointing. The moment you say, this is on me, is the same moment everything begins to turn around. Now let me tell you what happens when you do that. You stop waiting. You stop blaming. You stop wasting time. Instead, you start building. You start reading. You start showing up early. You start asking better questions. It's not always glamorous. But let me tell you, The moment you decide to lead your own life, that's the moment you start attracting success. Because success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. I started with small changes, woke up earlier, read a book a week, made my goals visible, cut out the excuses, and one by one things started to shift. Not overnight, but day by day. The days turned into weeks, the weeks into months, and the man I was began to fade, replaced by someone stronger, more focused, more disciplined, more valuable. Life is like the seasons. You cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for more wisdom. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Take charge of your life. This is where it begins. This is lesson 1, and it will change everything. Your income is directly related to your philosophy, not the economy. This is something I wish I'd understood much earlier in life. When I was starting out, like many, I thought the key to wealth was a better job or a bigger paycheck. I chased promotions, bonuses, and commissions. I worked harder and longer hours. But the truth, that wasn't the answer. What changed everything was a simple, powerful idea from my mentor: work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Now, you might say, Jim, that sounds easy to say but hard to do. And you're right. It is hard. It takes discipline. It takes commitment. But it's also the best investment you will ever make. Let me explain what I mean by working on yourself. It's not just about skills or training, although those are part of it. It's about personal growth. It's about expanding your mind and your character. It's about becoming the person who naturally attracts success. You see, the marketplace rewards value. And the more valuable you become, the more you get paid. I remember a time when I was struggling. No matter how many hours I put in, I was stuck. Then I started reading books. Books that challenged me. Books that inspired me. I listened to tapes and seminars. I wrote down my goals and reviewed them every day. Slowly, my mindset began to shift. I wasn't just working a job anymore. I was working on my future. One of my favorite quotes is this: formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. This is a lesson I learned the hard way. School gave me knowledge, but self-education gave me wisdom. Self-education taught me how to think, how to grow, and how to adapt. And here's something important: your income can only grow to the extent that you do. If you want more money, more freedom, more happiness, then you have to invest in you. Now, you might wonder, what exactly should I do to work on myself? Here are some powerful practices that changed my life. Read at least one book a month. Knowledge is like compound interest. It grows over time. Write down your goals. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Attend seminars or listen to motivational talks. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher. Practice reflection. Take time each day to think about what you learned, what you can improve. Develop your communication skills. The ability to express yourself clearly is invaluable. These habits seem small, but they add up like drops of water wearing away stone. The secret is consistency. Let me share something else. Working harder on yourself means facing your weaknesses. It means saying to distractions. It means avoiding negative influences. It means choosing growth over comfort. This is tough because it requires sacrifice. But remember this: comfort is the enemy of progress. Every minute you spend growing, learning, improving, you're investing in your future. Every minute you spend complaining, blaming, or doubting, you're stealing from your own success. And here's the beautiful parting: as you grow, opportunities begin to appear. People notice your attitude, your knowledge, your character. You become someone others want to work with. You become someone worth paying more. I can't stress this enough: success isn't about luck or timing. It's about preparation meeting opportunity. Let me close this part with a thought to carry with you. Success is something you attract by the person you become. If you want to change your life, don't focus solely on changing your job or your income. Focus on becoming a better person, more knowledgeable, more disciplined, more valuable. That is the foundation of lasting success. Because your income can never rise above your personal development. And if you commit to working harder on yourself than you do on your job, I promise you, your life will change in ways you never imagined. If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. Let that sink in. Most people spend more time planning a vacation than they do planning their lives. They drift. They wait for things to happen. But I'm here to tell you, success is not an accident. It's a result. And results come from plans. You see, when I was a young man, I didn't have a plan. I just got up each day and tried to survive it. I worked hard, sure, but I wasn't going anywhere. It's like sailing a boat with no rudder. You get tossed by every wave. One day I met a mentor who asked me a question that stopped me cold. "Jim, where are you going?" I said. "I don't know." He said, "Then any road will take you there." He was right. I had ambition but no aim, desire but no direction. That conversation changed my life because it taught me something very important. If you want to become a millionaire or anything worthwhile, you need a plan, a clear, written, intentional plan. Success is not something you stumble into. You must design it. You must decide what you want and then map out how to get there. Let me ask you this. What do you want 5 years from now? 10 years? What kind of income? What kind of health? What kind of relationships? Most people say, "I just want to be happy." Well, that's nice, but it's not specific. Happiness isn't a goal. It's a byproduct. You don't get happy by chasing it. You get happy by living a life that has purpose. So here's what I dig and what I suggest you, dog. Take some time to think. Turn off the TV. Put the phone down. Ask yourself, what kind of life do I want? Write it down. Not just in your head, on paper. Be detailed. Don't just write, "I want to be rich. I want to earn $250,000 a year by helping people through coaching." Or, "I want to build a business that allows me to travel." Break it into parts. What do you need to learn? What do you need to meet? What habits do you need to build? Create small, manageable steps. Review it daily. Every morning, look at your goals. Every night, ask yourself, did I move closer today? These simple steps took me from broke and frustrated to financially free and fulfilled. Let me give you a quote I loving. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without discipline, even the best plan will fall apart. But without a plan, there's nothing to discipline. Some people say, "Well, Jim, what if my plan doesn't work?" I say, adjust the plan, not the goal. You may need to change the route, but don't give up on the destination. Now, let's talk about why most people don't plan. It's not because they're lazy. It's because they're afraid. Afraid of failure. Afraid of success. Afraid they'll be disappointed if things don't work out. But here's the irony. The lack of a plan is a guarantee of disappointment. If you don't choose your own future, someone else will choose it for you. And trust me, it won't be what you want. When I finally sat down and wrote out my life plan, it wasn't perfect. But it gave me clarity. It gave me motivation. I wasn't drifting anymore. I was driving. And every day I got behind the wheel, even if just for a short time. You don't have to make giant leaps. You just have to keep steering in the right direction. And that starts with knowing where you want to go. Here's one more thing. A plan gives you power. Power to say no to distractions. Power to say yes to opportunities. Power to wake up with purpose. And that kind of clarity, it separates successful people from those who just get by. If your life is important, and it is, then planning it is not optional. It's essential. Start today. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Pick up the pen, write your vision, map your steps, and follow that road until it leads to the life you've imagined. Because a clear plan backed by consistent action can change everything. Let me tell you something I learned early. You don't become a millionaire first. You act like one. See, most people are waiting for the money, waiting for the success, waiting for the recognition before they show up different. But that's backward thinking. Success is something you attract by the person you become. You must become the kind of person who naturally creates wealth, who earns respect, who lives with discipline. Not someday. But starting today, when I was broke, and I mean flat broke, I used to think like this: if I had more money, I'd be more careful with it. But my mentor corrected me. He said, "Jim, if you were more careful with your money, you'd have more." It wasn't about the amount. It was about the attitude. Millionaires don't wait to win the lottery. They don't hope someone will save them. They take responsibility. They take action. And they carry themselves with vision, long before the bank account shows it. Success is something you attract by the person you become. So I started changing who I was. I started to speak differently, dress differently, think differently, and most importantly, decide differently. Because every day we're making decisions that either lead us closer to wealth or deeper into debt, closer to discipline or deeper into disappointment. Let me ask you this: if I followed you around for a day, would I be able to tell where you're going? Would your actions reflect your ambition? You see, when you act like a millionaire, you don't just spend money differently, you manage time differently. You protect your energy. You focus on growth, not gossip. Books over television. Effort over excuses. Now, I'm not saying fake it. This isn't about pretending. I'm saying live in alignment with the person you want to be. Want to be wealthy. Start studying wealth. Want to be respected. Live with integrity. Want to be healthy? Make decisions that healthy people make today. Act now how your future self would act, not after success, before it. Let me tell you a story. Back in my 20s, I was invited to a gathering of successful entrepreneurs. I had nothing, no suit, no money, no confidence. But I went anyway. I borrowed a tie, polished my shoes, took notes like my life depended on it. And someone asked, "What do you do?" I looked them in the eye and said, "I'm preparing to become someone valuable in this world." They smiled and said, "You already are, because you believe you are." That stuck with me. See, you don't need to be rich to start acting rich in mindset. You don't need a title to start behaving like a leader. You don't need applause to walk with purpose. Let me remind you, the world responds not to your needs, but to your posture. If you carry yourself with doubt, the world will give you doubt. If you walk with clarity and confidence, the world will open doors. So walk like your future matters. Speak like you've got something to say. Show up like you belong at the table. Because guess what? You do. There's a big difference between arrogance and self-respect. Acting like a millionaire doesn't mean acting superior. It means carrying yourself with discipline, with intention, with vision. Millionaires don't always wear expensive clothes, but they think sharp. They ask good questions. They build strong habits. They invest in themselves long before anyone else does. So what does it look like to act like a millionaire today? Wake up early. Plan your day. Read 10 pages of a good book. Show up to your job or business like it's your launch pad. Be kind. Be focused. Be intentional. Not some today. And if you slip up, that's all right. Success is not about perfection. It's about direction. It's about consistency. So make a choice today to carry yourself one level higher. Speak one level better. Think one layer deeper. Because when you start acting like your future self, you begin becoming that person. And then the world begins to respond. Don't wait for the money to act wealthy. Don't wait for the opportunity to act responsible. Don't wait for applause to walk tall. Start now, right where you are, with what you have. Do what you can. Because if you do the part, the reward will follow. Act like a millionaire, and you're on your way to becoming one. Let me tell you one of the greatest secrets to wealth. And I didn't learn it from a book. I didn't learn it from a seminar. I learned it from experience. You get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. That's it. And here's the catch: you don't get paid for time. You get paid for value delivered in that time. If you want to increase your income, don't ask for more money. Ask, how can I increase my value? Because here's the principle. If you want to be paid more, you must become more. I'll never forget when my mentor said to me, Jim, the marketplace is not going to respond to your need. It's going to respond to your value. Will you? That hit hard. See, I was hoping the world would feel sorry for me, that it would just hand me a raise. That opportunity would come knocking because I was nice guy. But the truth is, the marketplace is like a mirror. It reflects back to you the value you bring. And if you want more out of life, you have to give more to life. So here's what I started doing. I made it my goal to deliver more than I was paid for. More effort, more service, more attention to detail, more kindness, more care. And something magical started to happen. I stood out. People noticed. Opportunities came. Because when you go the extra mile, you rarely face traffic. Most people are doing just enough to not get fired and getting paid just enough to not quit. But not me. Not anymore. I decided to raise the bar on myself. You want to double your income, double your value, improve your skills, work harder than you're required, and bring the right attitude. Even when the day's going wrong, a young man once asked me, Jim, how do I earn more? I said, simple. Find a way to serve more people and serve them better. Wealth is byproduct of contribution. You want more rewards. Don't chase the rewards. Chase the contribution. Because here's the truth. You can't outgive the marketplace. When you give more, you eventually get more. Not always today. Not always this week. But life has a way of rewarding the consistent giver. I used to be a minimum effort man. Do just enough. Punch the clock. Hope for the best. But minimum effort creates minimum results. And that, my friend, is a dead-end street. So I turned it around. When I gave a speech, I gave it everything. When I mentored someone, I gave them my full attention. When I worked on a project, I gave it pride and excellence, even if no one was watching. And little by little, the world responded. Because the world moves out of the way for the person who knows where they're going and is willing to give more than they take. Now, some people say, but Jim, what if I give more and nobody notices? Here's my answer, keep doing it anyway. Because success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract, and the way you attract it is by becoming a person of value. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine two people at work. One does the bare minimum, arrives at 9 Geohund, leaves at 5 Geode1, never smiles, never grows, never stretches. The other shows up early, stays late if needed, smiles, improves, helps others without being asked. Now, who do you think the promotions go to? Who gets noticed when opportunities arise? Who builds trust? It's simple. Those who deliver more than they're paid for eventually get paid far more than they deliver. That's the irony. That's the reward. So let me challenge you, whatever you're doing today, do it better than you did yesterday. Not for a pat on the back, not for a raise tomorrow, but because you're becoming the kind of person success can't ignore. The goal is not to chase money. The goal is to become valuable. So valuable that the world must reward you. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, and you'll soon be working for fortune instead of wages. Deliver more value than you're paid for, and life will deliver more than you ever imagined. Let me leave you with this. It's not where you start, it's where you decide to go. You see, I started as a farm boy. No money, no connections, no college degree, just a few pennies in my pocket and a mountain of excuses. But something changed. I met a mentor. And that mentor gave me 5 simple ideas, 5 powerful lessons that turned everything around. I took them seriously. I practiced them daily. And before long, the man I was no longer the man I became. From broke at 25G to millionaire by 31 wasn't magic. That was discipline. That was philosophy. That was change. You don't have to wait 10 years. You don't even have to wait until next week. Your future begins with your next decision. The decision to take charge of your life. To work harder on yourself than you do on your job. To craft a clear direction. To act with intention. And to deliver more value than anyone expects. That's the formula. Simple, but not easy. But remember, what's easy to do is also easy not to do. It's easy to skip a book. It's easy to